For the week of June 25th, 2018, welcome to the Roll for Crit News Roundup.
Origins happened recently, and we're here to talk about the awards that they gave out for many such categories, including, of course, Game of the Year. You will be shocked to hear it went to Gloomhaven. But there are some more interesting ones as well, including Board Game Accessory, which actually went to Terraforming Mars from Broken Token. We were a little confused at first, because we're like, we don't think Terraforming Mars didn't have too much going on in the box that really needed it, except it also comes with little playmats, in essence, with little inserts for cubes for the players, which is amazing for that game. So now we're like, yes, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, that seemed like a good award. Yeah, it is. I'm curious. I don't know what the other nominees were for that one in particular, but to see a third-party accessory take that is cool. Also, maybe a little sad for the developers of Terraforming Mars. Yeah, and I think the rest was also pretty much what you'd expect, right?
The one thing I do like to point out, because I really liked, was actually the Creator Hall of Fame. That went to Eric Lang and someone else whose name I'm totally forgetting. We'll put it up on screen. But I do like the idea of, because a lot of times in games, both video games is a little bit better, not as much. But like when you compare it to movies, when I think about movies, a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, this director and this actor, you have the names attached. It's not just this movie title. But in games, I think that's not nearly as known about, like, at least among the general audience, of like who made this game. And
that's like true. You know, in the Oscars, you have Best Movie and you also have Best Director, but you don't have usually a Best Designer category in a lot of these awards. And that's something they should definitely make happen.
Yeah, even art, like designer or artist, like, because you do see like certain artists trend in certain games, and they're very good, or maybe you don't like them. But it would be nice to see maybe some of the names get out, because that would definitely help bring board game elevation up more towards movies, as we always complain about.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And just it's nice to have those people be recognized for what they're doing. And hopefully, I just hope that this is the last time this year we talk about award winners.
Nope.
We're done. We did Dice Tower, we did Board Game Geek, and this is Origins. Well, we still have Spiel des Jahres. It's the last one. That's the last one. Things are not necessarily all positive, however, coming out of Origins. Katie Aidley, who runs a site, katiesgamecorner.com, where she does reviews and other articles about board games in general, posted an article on her blog about sexual assault and her experiences of harassment in general, being a woman in the world of a male-dominated industry that is tabletop gaming. Specifically alluded to, recently appropriate and relevant, something that happened to her at Origins, which it sounds like details she may be talking about in the future, but we don't quite know specifics yet. But this is definitely something that has been going on in other industries, certainly video games and Hollywood lately, that has probably been talked about a little bit in regards to board games, maybe even a little on this show, but is not something that usually is talked about a lot in our circles, I don't think. And in all industries, in all circles, this is a problem. And I think the same way that we saw it kind of finally come out into the open with the whole Gamergate and all that stuff, and now again in Hollywood with Kevin Spacey and all these people coming out, that it's something that's hopefully going to, I mean, it sucks that it happens, but now that hopefully we can talk about it more in order to recognize it and put a stop to it. You know what I mean? What do you think we're gonna see? Like my fear is that we're gonna find out that there might be some promising people in the industry, people that are popular, that we really like, that are going to turn out to be not so great people, which always sucks.
Well, it's sort of funny, because our first story, we just talked about how, like, we're really happy that people are going to get their names out more, these designers and stuff. Well, their names might come out another way now.
Yeah.
And that's actually going to be the issue. Maybe in board games, that could be just because there aren't names attached, so you don't think of it as much that this person was, because you forget this designer's name. I'm not going to name it because I don't know if any designers might have any bad history yet.
That's the thing. You can't. It used to be a joke like, "Who's next? This like really nice guy is going to come out as an abuser," and it's like, "Oh no, there's a good chance at this state in our country that might happen." So you can't joke about it, because it's like knock on wood, it's not going to happen.
It's not real wood.
But I think it's good to address this, and for anyone watching, if you see this, it's hard for us to speak about it, really. We can't really speak about it from personal experience because we're just two straight white dudes.
We're also hermits who hide away with our few friends, so we don't usually go to public places.
Exactly. So that is the case for us. But if you out there go to these public events or are at a game night and see anything like this happening, just call it out, be aware of it and don't endorse it in any way.
I mean, the one place I think we have started seeing it more, and we'll see it definitely at a higher rate, is I think definitely with people, but also how our games represent them. Like, it's only recently in Magic, we started to see more people of color in the card art, and like multiple times there's been some cards who are either, I forget the exact, I don't think she was trans exactly, but called herself a female. And something similar to like that, more representation seen in games. So maybe it's not all white faces in the characters.
Yeah, it's definitely an across-the-board issue that there's a lot of places they can make tweaks to help to make it a more inclusive environment. I think that we talked about this successfully without offending anybody. I think we skirted all the negative things we could say.
There's no way you cannot offend anybody.
Well, let us know if we offended you, and definitely check out katiesgamecorner.com to hear it straight from her, straight from the source for this kind of issue. It's always good to listen, just listen a little.
We're getting an expansion for Colt Express Bandits. What this does, it has sort of 6 mini expansions, and each one adds a bandit controlled by the game, which has its own special abilities and rules, in which you will lose if that bandit is able to complete its sort of goals. So it pretty much forces you to maybe be a bit more tactical and sort of maybe having to take maybe not the best move for you, but you will lose the game if you don't. So maybe something a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I love the idea. It's another one of those modular expansions that we've been seeing a lot of. But it sounds like, unlike Splendor, for instance, it's not like a completely different thing each time. It's sort of like choosing a boss encounter for a game. But it sounds really fun. I love the idea of having something that everyone is working against, a threat, so it's not just against each other. That kind of, I guess, semi-co-op sort of is the word for games like that, like a Cutthroat Caverns or what have you, where you have to work together a little bit sometimes. That's always fun to me, and I think it fits the theme of the Western too. That seems like there's always kind of you're kind of working together, but you might backstab each other along the way. Seems cool. I know Colt Express is not our favorite game. We have our issues with it, but we haven't tried the expansion, so I'm curious. That sounds like maybe they would improve our experiences with it. The streaming role-playing show Critical Role has announced that it is going to be breaking off from its original production company, Geek and Sundry. Geek and Sundry, which picked them up and has been streaming them and hosting them for a long time now, will still continue to stream some of their shows on a weekly basis, but Critical Role now is going to be in charge of itself, its own separate entity, with its own channel, and launching some new stuff, such as an online store for merchandise related to their show. If you haven't watched Critical Role before, it's huge. It has kind of created this phenomenon of role-playing streaming online. It's really big. I think it's honestly responsible for a resurgence in a lot of ways in the last couple of years of D&D and other tabletop games, at least in terms of the mainstream. And it's cool to see them kind of going off on their own. They're big enough now to leave Geek and Sundry, and that also means that, tabletop is also over, which was hosted on Geek and Sundry. So they're kind of, it seems like they don't really have any major draw for tabletop players anymore, at least that I can think of. Do you ever watch Critical Role? You ever catch it from time to time? You have any thoughts?
Time to time. I mean, it's fun watching, especially when people are a bit more experienced at acting out the characters, doing voices, making entertaining, unlike me.
Yeah, I know there's some people are kind of feel somewhat negatively because they have a play style that is very well suited to the kind of players they have, who are like actors and voice actors. And in real life, sometimes people like you saying it's harder for just normal people to play like that. So that's I don't know, it's just an interesting take.
No, it's definitely, I have seen some videos on that stuff, but I think that comes down to more like understanding when you had your players come to the table, the standard of like what you should expect. You don't have to do a weird voice if you don't think you're very good at one,
right?
Which I am absolutely horrific at.
You're not doing a weird voice right now?
I mean, besides my standard warrior dwarves.
Oh, because that one's good. That one's really good.
And you don't, maybe if you don't feel you have to maybe ham up some of the things, I mean, do it if you want to because it's fun. But don't think that's a standard. Like, it's one of those things where you just have to make sure everyone's comfortable at the table.
Well, if you haven't seen Critical Role, check it out. See if you are into that style of play, and they'll be on their own from now on, which is fun.
We've mentioned the Lord of the Rings LCG is getting a digital version that's supposedly free to play. They have just announced a collector's edition for it, which costs money, but it comes with a whole bunch of stuff. First off, it comes with ability with early access to the game starting August 28th. In addition, it actually comes with a special physical 2-player special set, which we'll go in a bit more in detail. An actual 1 ring, because you gotta have the ring. You get all the Founders Packs. You get some art prints, and you get some special digital little promo avatars and stuff as well. This all comes for about $100. Oh, and a playmat. I totally forgot the playmat. Comes with a playmat for you to play, which is physical as well. So this is a bit more like the collector's edition when you think of a video game. But unlike the ones like you see, like I have a couple of Fallout ones behind me where it's more like, it's from the game, it's an accessory, but that's it. You do get a physical game with it, a special 2-player card game. And it does come with 2 pre-made decks, so you can, if you're a new player, you can just start with those 2 decks. But if you're a veteran, it comes with like alternate art of some of the cards and 2 new heroes, which will be introduced at a later set in time, but as of now will only be available in the set. They also mentioned a few new quests, which they did not say would come in future content later set. So that might be exclusive just for this. One of the things that was curious to me was, I don't know, did you see the images?
No, not really.
If I showed you the images, you would be like, why are you showing me pictures of Hearthstone? It looks like Hearthstone.
You're talking about the digital version?
Yes.
I have seen screenshots of the digital version.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It looks like Hearthstone.
Yeah, well, kind of. I don't know. I feel like it's less cartoony than Hearthstone.
I mean that, but I mean the borders and stuff like that. Like, yeah, the actual portraits definitely are not as cartoony. They still have the same art and stuff. Like, I recognize some of the cards from my friend's deck, which I use.
Well, for people's reference, so like you said, they announced the early access for August 28th. The total cost of, there's going to be 3 different Founders Packs at various prices that come with cosmetic items and in-game money. And if you buy all 3 together, that's about $50. So $50 to consider for that, plus the $50 for the physical stuff. It's expensive for $100, but if you're a big fan, it does sound like they included enough to make it worth that value.
I don't think the price is too crazy for what you get into it. I don't know.
Assuming you want to play the online version too.
Right. I don't know how much for someone who maybe already has most of the collection already. Like I said, the 2 heroes will be coming at a later date, but as far as I know, the quests are exclusive to that, so that may be a big deal for you. But also full art card versions, which I know, I mean, any card gamer, you know, if there's a foil version or a different art version, they love to have that in their deck.
Yeah, and it's the early access launches on my birthday. So.
Oh, yeah.
It's a birthday present for me. Thanks, Fantasy Flight.
So yeah, you can pre-order that now on their site, and it's for a limited run. So this is like the one time you can sort of get it. So if you're just a fan of the physical, this still might be worth it for you. Also, because the playmat and the ring might be fun to have around. For the digital, it seems like a very good idea, because then even having the physical 2-player, you can learn the game more before the digital comes out. And having early access right at the end of August, it might be pretty cool.
Finally, new releases that are either out last week or maybe coming out later this week. First, there's Wave 14 of the Star Wars X-Wing minigame, which includes Saw Gerrera and the TIE Reaper. You've also got the Force and Destiny Knights of Fate sourcebook for the Star Wars Force and Destiny RPG. WizKids has a new kind of party dexterity dungeon crawling game called Fungin Party. There's a new version of Codenames XXL, which is like Codenames but larger. Renegade Games has a brand new game called T-Dragon Society, which is based on a webcomic, if you're not familiar. And then there's also going to be the reprint of Gloomhaven, finally available in many places. So if you've been waiting to get your hands on that one, you can go find it out there in the wild right now.
And this one's a little bit weird, but we talked about Netrunner ending a while ago, and they had a new expansion, which we had it for pre-order and went out really fast, and a lot of people were really disappointed about that. But they announced that they were going to do a reprint, and I earlier saw on their site that pre-orders went up again for that, and I was able to get it. But I think it's out of stock now, but I've noticed some other items going on and off. So, I mean, this isn't really a release, but maybe if you're a fan, maybe stick to the site and just refresh every now and then, because it may come back up.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye on that.
Keep your eyes peeled or keep your cyber goggles netrified. I don't know any of the lingo from the game.
That's one now, netrified.
Yeah. All right, so that's all the news for this week, yeah? Hey, this is the final week that we're going to be bugging you about the Rick and Morty Rick's Must Be Crazy contest. You only have one more week to enter it on our site. You can find a link in the description or go to rollforcrit.com/contest to sign up. It's super easy. It's your last chance. We're giving away 4 copies. Please do it.
But until then, I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this is Roll for Crit News.
Hey, if you liked this video, then like this video and subscribe to our channel for more board game content.
Would you kindly do it now?